And it feels great to be back to the greatest morning show in the world. Good morning from wherever you're watching, and thank you for joining us this morning on Breakfast Central as we segue into some of the biggest political stories that have happened over the course of the weekend. It's been quite the busy weekend with a lot of attempted coups happening, but we'll be exploring the conversations in depth. My name is Olive Emodi, and it's good to be back.
And I'm Benga Bro, and I'd like to say a big welcome back to you, Olive. We really miss you on the program. You know, you're a resident lawyer. We couldn't get really in-depth on-the-spot analysis in terms of in legal issues, so we had to pack all the legal issues aside.
And they're waiting for me.
They're waiting for you exactly this week.
Thank you very much for that.
And we got lots of requests from our viewers and listeners that said they missed looking at you, watching you read the news, that they love it when you read the news. So throughout this week, I hope you're prepared to read the news.
No, I'm not reading the news.
It was Moko and Chukwemeka that wrote that one.
Yes, I saw a message from him. Thank you so much for the kind wishes. I got a number of messages from our viewers on Instagram and on Twitter, on X as well, telling me to enjoy the holiday, but they missed me. Thank you so much. I missed you, and I'm really, really glad to be back.
Look well rested, you know. Yeah, but before we go on, please let Johansson do the honors. It's looking very presidential this morning. Look at the double-breasted.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, I did not de-escalate.
You're looking very suitable. That's why you wear a suit.
Thank you, Benga. I mean, that's. I mean,
I would think that time we would come back and you would have applied some decorum.
Yeah.
And stop all this shenanigans on national TV.
It feels good to be back. Good morning, Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt. Good morning to Pretoria, to Johannesburg,
Cotonou.
Cotonou. I was going there. I was just trying to comb around some of the African, states, and then Cotonou, Benin Republic, Port Novo, not far off, all of them. It was indeed a very troublesome weekend, if you put it that way, because nobody would have thought that you would hear of a coup plot over the weekend in a state or a country that's seemingly doing fine.
Yeah, relatively stable.
Relatively, it's stable, and then it happens. But then again, this conversation we're going to have. So we're saying good morning. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget to go on social media. You could drop a comment or two. Let us know what you think about some of the biggest stories we're bringing forth, especially here on Breakfast Central for the next 3 hours or thereabout. Je m'appelle Johansson. Let's do a little bit of French as we start off wake-up conversations this morning.
You can never stop there, my dear friend. Je m'appelle is not enough. You have to go forward.
Oh, I should go forward.
Yeah.
Recently, I've learned that I don't need to speak French much because of our viewership. You know, we have dominant English listening and speaking people.
We're part of the economic community of West African states.
Yes.
And our key languages, there's 3 languages. There's English, there's French, and there's Portuguese.
Excusez-moi. We just need to move on with the story. Pardon. Let's go ahead. So we're going to start off first. Benga, by the way, you look good on green. Not bad, man.
Olive green. Yeah, I'm wearing it because of Olive. I knew she would be back today, and it's her favorite color.
Wow. You're my favorite man in the world.
Wow.
Thank you so much.
I
Okay,
like that.
let's begin with some unfortunate news. On Sunday, the 7th of December 2025, soldiers in Benin, operating under the banner of the Military Committee for Refoundation, led by Lieutenant Colonel Pascal Tigiri, briefly seized the state television station and announced that they had toppled the government. They had toppled President Patrice Talon and dissolved his government. Their claim was swiftly countered when President Talon appeared on national TV assuring the country that the mutiny had failed and praising Loyalist forces for standing firm, for reclaiming control and clearing the last pockets of resistance. Benin's Interior Minister Alassane Seydu reinforced this in a public statement, explaining that only a small group of soldiers had attempted the mutiny and that the armed forces remained fully committed to the Republic. He confirmed that the situation was under control and urged citizens to continue with their normal activities. Now.
Yeah, and if you recall, just 10 days ago in Guinea-Bissau, President Umar Sissoko Embalo was removed in a successful coup in 2025 by the High Military Commander of the Restoration, National Security and Public Order, led by Brigadier General Nis Enacha and General Hota Enta Anaman. Niger's President Mohamed Bazoum was overthrown in 2023 by Presidential Guard led by Abdurrahman Chiani in a successful coup. Recall Gabon's Ali Bongo Dimba was also ousted in 2023 by military officers under Brice Niger and Burkina Faso experienced 2 coups in 2023. First, President Rochmark Christian Kabore was removed by Paul Henry Sandaogo Damiba, and later Damiba himself was overthrown by Colonel Ibrahim Traore, Captain Ibrahim Traore.
Who was meant to transition to civilian rule, but now he's been given the reins
indefinite
to
suspension
for I think about 5 years or thereabouts. What? Mali, they're not the only ones.
Yes, Mali also saw 2 coups, the first in 2020 and second in 2021, both led by Assimi Goïta, successfully removing the transitional government. What this says is we're almost going back to a throwback of the 1980s when West Africa used to be known as the Coup Belt of Africa. But in a swift intervention yesterday, the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, did deploy fighter jets, scrambled fighter jets from Lagos, and they also activated the ECOWAS standby force. So troops from Nigeria, Ghana, Sierra Leone will be headed to, if they're not there already, to Republic of Benin to stabilize this. But let's look at this press statement from ECOWAS, and then we'll be back to hear what Nigerians are saying and more analysis from us here.
Right.
Béninois, chers compatriotes, au petit matin de ce dimanche 7 décembre 2025, un groupuscule de soldats a engagé une mutinerie dans le but de déstabiliser l'État et ses institutions. Face à cette situation, les forces armées béninoises et leur hiérarchie.
The ECOWAS press statement on the Republic of Benin says ECOWAS Commission has received with consternation reports of an attempted military takeover in the Republic of Benin. ECOWAS strongly condemns this unconstitutional move that represents a subversion of the will of the people of Benin. ECOWAS calls for the full respect of the Constitution of Benin and salutes the efforts of the government and the Republican Army in bringing the situation under control. ECOWAS holds the leaders of the plot, both individually and collectively, responsible for any loss to life and property occasioned by their action. ECOWAS will support the government and the people in all forms necessary, including the deployment of the regional standby force to defend the constitution and territorial integrity of Benin. This was signed on the 7th of December 2025 in Abuja by the ECOWAS Commission. We also saw that there are more, statements there, but we've also seen the Nigerian president who has also released.
This was the statement on the deployment of the standby force.
And he did say, he says, further to his earlier statement on the Republic of Benin, the ECOWAS Commission hereby informs the general public that pursuant to the provisions of relevant ECOWAS instruments, in particular Article 25, subsection E of the 1999 Protocol relating to the mechanism for conflicts prevention management, resolution, peacekeeping and security, and after consultation among members of the Mediation and Security Council at the level of heads of state and government, A, the chair of ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government has ordered the deployment of elements of the ECOWAS standby force to the Republic of Benin with immediate effect. B, the regional force shall be made up of troops from the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Republic of Sierra Leone, Republic of Côte d'Ivoire, and Republic of Ghana. C, the force shall support the government and the Republican Army of Benin to preserve constitutional order and the territorial integrity of the Republic of Benin. Signed on the 7th of December 2025 in Abuja at the ECOWAS Commission.
I like the swiftness in which the ECOWAS indeed moved in to ensure that stability was restored in Benin Republic. However, many have said, why were the soldiers looking to carry out mutiny or a coup? Some of the results have been as a fact of the MPs in Benin Republic have decided to extend their, presidential term limits, also their term limits as well, from 5 to 7 years. And then don't forget too that you also have a serious issue in the north, right there in Benin Republic, where they're equally struggling with insecurity. Looking at the fact that the likes of Mali and other countries within this same geographical area have one way or the other battled with these insurgents, and it's like they're pushing them towards the sides of Benin Republic, and the soldiers feel that nothing is being done. But it's far from just being agitated and trying to take powers into their hands, and that's exactly what we've seen. There's so many issues. There's also the issue of the King of Cotton, of course, which is the president himself, not responding very swiftly to some of the critical issues that they've raised as soldiers. And then, finally, we should also take note, just like you've mentioned, not too long ago, just a few weeks ago, Guinea-Bissau engaging in a coup. So, Benga is likely starting to look
like what is good for the goose is no longer good for the gander.
Exactly. It's starting to
Why
look
the
like
double standard?
the West African countries are tinkering with the idea of possibly going back to military rule, which the African Union and ECOWAS has condemned completely.
I mean, for me, it's a double standards. And if ECOWAS has a constitution and protocol that countries should be governed democratically, then why are some allowed to be governed by military men and some others not? Why do we see intervention in some countries and why don't we see in others? Look at Benin Republic, for example. Is it because they're a small country or France's almost last bastion in Africa? Because yesterday, President Macron did communicate with President Tinubu before the jets were scrambled. So many people have assumed that, you know, he was taking, that's the tweet from the French president, that he was taking instruction from President Macron. They're also highlighting the fact that, oh, we have this jet to deploy and to scramble to go to Benin Republic when we have problems of our own.
Because that conversation is what we're going to enter in second base.
Well, we
We've done first base now.
it's one of those.
Well, just to mention,
issues.
I wouldn't say for sure that the ECOWAS is allowing democratic rule in some parts of the region and then allowing military rule in some parts of the region. Maybe what has happened or what is happening with Benin is a prevention of things deteriorating into what it has become in other countries.
To be fair, the Beninese did request for help from Nigeria's government. If you see Bayo Onanuga's statement, it was there that they did reach out to Abuja and ask for help in, you know, preventing this mutiny from happening. So Nigeria, as you know, big brother, giant of Africa, we responded and provided that help.
And we must also ask, I want to go back to something you said earlier, beyond the coups that are happening or the attempted coups, what is the underlying cause of all this happening? If not, we're going to see a repeat of these happening in different parts of the region. If you don't deal with the issues. If we don't deal with the root cause, you know, what we're doing is we're treating the symptoms as opposed to dealing with the root cause. There is a number of the countries, when we see the coups happen, part of the things you would hear would be the issues about corruption, insecurity, jihadist movements that they are trying to fight against. So you would see that there are already underlying issues that need to be dealt with. And if these issues are not dealt with, we'll continue to see a repetition of those symptoms. Unfortunately, there might be more attempted coups. The success of it we cannot guarantee.
And also the stifling of democratic spaces. And people have also mentioned that where is ECOWAS? Where is the African Union peer review mechanism when these democratic, so-called democratic countries and plan civilian coups by extended term limits?
This particular person, you know, Talon also has been accused of breaching a lot of democratic values.
Yes.
His term is supposed to end in 2026. His 10-year term should be ending in 2026, right? But we've seen even in the election that the main opposition has been kicked out of the race.
Or
and
they are arrested. The shrinking of the
so it does have enough
democratic space, exactly. There's also Togo there. I mean, if you look at Togo, the Nasingbe family has been in office for almost half a century. That's 50 years if you combine the rule of his father and the son. You look at
so what is
Laurent Gbagbo, you look at Alassane Ouattara in Ivory Coast. It's almost the same. He's in his 80s. And
Equatorial Guinea as well.
The list is endless.
Cameroon.
But they never say anything about this
recently.
democratic coup. So they give reasons for the military boys.
It's a good conversation to get into, because the truth is, what is the African Union doing towards that and about that? What is the AU also, I mean, ECOWAS also doing about that? But let's see what Nigerians are saying in reaction to the aborted coup that was to take place, or that tried to take place, especially in Benin yesterday. Cillian, I really can't get that. Sele Online Business says, that's welcome development. If that would be better for the country, it's like military rule would be the solution to every country now. Well, we don't agree to that.
Yeah, I disagree with you vehemently.
It's not really. But anyway, you have your opinion. Kihato Eric says, coups in Africa undermine democracy, destabilize economies, and weaken regional security. Yes, They may appear as quick fixes to political crisis. Their long-term consequences are overwhelmingly negative, and you are right with that. Meltdown says Benin school feels less like saving the country and more like politicians and soldiers arguing over who gets to loot next. One side cries corruption, the other claims patriotism. I'm just curious if the masses support this or it's just abuse of power.
Doesn't seem like the masses supported this one.
I don't think so. Deep insights. African leaders invented their own brand of democracy where power doesn't really belong to the people, but a select few. We'll continue to have these coups until that changes. Nigeria should not think it's isolated. Well, talking of Nigeria, just a few months down the line, we did hear of a coup that was to take place, and it was indeed one way or the other truncated. Let's see another one. Delta Wire. This trend will keep recurring amongst African states unless there's a massive intentional revolution that compels our leaders to start governing with fairness and equity. Until they start utilizing resources of the state for the welfare of the people, Africans will keep rising every day in whatever form, shape, or nomenclature. Until the people start seeing the dividends of democracy, they will keep rebellious. He says African leaders are the problem and they evolved from amongst us. We're all culpable on this one. Well, that's what Delta Wire says. And that's all the tweets we're going to take. We're going to have this conversation in depth, let's put it that way, during the 7 o'clock hour, so make sure you stay with us. But away from that story, let's go to something that you call rather good news. The federal government has successfully secured the release of 100 school children who were recently abducted in Niger State, although several pupils are still unaccounted for. Authorities confirmed that security agencies acted swiftly following the kidnapping, coordinating efforts to locate and safely recover the students. While the rescue operation has brought relief to the affected communities and families, officials continue to search for those still missing, emphasizing their commitment to ensuring the safety and protection of all children in the region. The president did talk about this. He put out a tweet on X. That's President Tinubu. He was quite active over the weekend, by the way. Talked about the Benin coup. Also put out a tweet on this.
And we like it, just to mention that we're not complaining. We like that very much.
That's how we like the communication.
Yeah.
It
But
should,
it's not yet to Huru, since there's still a number of those children in the bush.
captivity.
And imagine
It's
the parents, what they'll be going
I
through,
agree.
the trauma.
I agree.
So we shouldn't rest on our oars until every Nigerian that has been kidnapped, especially the kids, returns safely. And we also prevent this so it doesn't become a reoccurring, it's almost like a cat and mouse game. Okay, you kidnap kids this week, you release them. Next week, another location. We need to put an end to this. And that's why I support the Senate. Olive was away when the Senate deliberated on the proposed death sentence for kidnapping, banditry.
Which is why, I mean, before I went away, I'd always talked about what role do the lawmakers have in wielding legislative instruments to ensure that they deal with some of the key issues we have. The major issue we have right now as a country is insecurity. Everybody wants to feel secure. And the issue, and the problem with insecurity is that it has a ripple effect. When there is insecurity, it affects tourism, it affects FDI.
Absolutely.
It affects people coming to do business. It's December, and interestingly, yesterday we were having conversations with people outside Nigeria that were calling and asking, oh, what's the best way to travel? Should I go by road? Should I do this? And that's the kind of conversations we're having, because insecurity has become a major, a major stumbling block.
Olive, while you were away, the National Assembly really stepped up, this 10th Assembly. So maybe you should be traveling a lot. You should have seen the way they grilled CG Musa. They were very hands-on.
And then they're getting ready to grill the ambassadorial list.
Yes. So we're very happy. I mean, this is, and you know what gives me joy? I've been speaking about this and advocating for this. First of all, I've never been a fan of the bow and go that we see happening.
A senator tried it and said, why are we wasting too much time?
Yes, and then they attacked him. Exactly.
Stop
so
there.
I've never been a fan of bow and go. And there's one thing that I'm waiting to see. I find that when ministers, members of cabinet, nominees to be in the cabinet already know the portfolio they're going to function in, and the Senate already knows the portfolio that they're nominating them to function in, it helps them have tailored questions. It's why if CG Musa is coming, you already know that he's coming as Minister of Defense. You see,
and he said a lot.
Right? As opposed to bring in, you now go and bring Mayor Coup and say, oh, so if you become a Minister of Women Affairs, what are you going to do? We're not sure exactly what
of the portfolio.
So
and they also need to attach their designation, the assignments for the ambassadors.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's see what Nigerians are saying regarding the rescue of the 100 girls in Niger State. Now on X, we see secured. Looks like they are negotiating for the release in batches. How else can one explain this? Nwachukwu said.
Or explain the round figure.
Right, 100 on the dot. That's fantastic news. Relieved to hear the kids are safe and back with their families. Kudos to the federal government and everyone involved in making this happen. Uncle Enzo Ibrahim Nupe says. The next tweet. I'm glad they've regained their freedom and I hope they're all in good health. The trauma may stay with them for a long time, but I truly wish them healing and strength. But can the federal government be honest and transparent enough to let us know how they were able to secure their release? And I mean, that's a good point being raised there about what post-traumatic stress measures we have. Rescuing them is one, but the trauma really lives with them.
And also, did you pay a ransom? What happened?
What happened? Like, what's the full picture? But I don't think that the government will ever come out to say.
But we need it. We need to know. And it's also an opportunity. Joe and I spoke about this. There's an opportunity to project strength of the Nigerian state.
Absolutely.
That, you know, we sent X and Y troops, they disengaged, they engaged, they, you know, did this and that. Because that's what you see the Americans do. But here, they just tell us to be happy that the kids have been secured. So let's move on with life.
And we are happy.
But if we don't deal with the root cause, it will be a real current thing, and we'll be back to speak about the next batch of kids.
We don't have to. Okay, let's now move to our next story. The long-running feud between Senator Akpabio and Senator Natasha has reignited after Senator Godswill Akpabio filed a 200 billion naira defamation lawsuit, despite earlier public apologies from both sides following the backlash. Many had assumed the controversy had finally been laid to rest, but Senator Natasha has insisted that she will prove her sexual assault allegation in court, signaling that the matter is far from over. What was thought to be a sleeping dispute has now returned to the spotlight, with the legal battle set to test the claims and defenses of both lawmakers.
I thought we were over this. I thought we'd moved on.
So
we're not done yet.
So why we cannot move on is because the allegation of sexual abuse is a very weighty allegation that should be proven in court. And I say that we should not let this matter rest.
Don't let sleeping dogs lie.
Let sleeping dogs not lie. This matter should be, and I've always said this, it should be investigated to the very end, such that if whoever is found guilty, and there can only be one person guilty, would either find that Senator Godswill Akpabio was actually guilty of this and will be made to face his time in court, or that Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, defamed him and is guilty and will be made to face her time in court. Either way, it's not a matter that should be swept under the carpet. Because what we're saying, if we sweep it under the carpet, is that we do not attach a lot of importance to allegations of sexual assault in a country where we're already complaining about, the average, regular, everyday person complains about sexual assault and they don't feel like they get the support that they need. How come someone at that level, highest level, at that high level, cannot yet also get some form of justice? So we need justice. Justice for Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan or justice for Senator Godswill Akpabio, depending on what the court finds. But let's see what Nigerians are saying about this on X. On X, we see here, perfect. Women won't just manipulate things and get away with it. Before you come for me, Natasha said she had evidence, so this is the right time to table them in court. Let her bring out her evidence, and if justice is tampered with, Nigerians will bring Akpabio to mud. I am ready to join the protest. But any woman cannot just get up to manipulate the public on rape and abuse-related cases, then get away with it. Let's be clear, please. There was no matter.
Hold on, no, just read.
Rape was not mentioned here, but let's be very clear. Rape and abuse-related cases, then get away with it if it's not true. On the other, one other lady did it with one of the Peace Square, and it was not valid. A lot of men are in prison for false accusations. I hate it. If this case was fabricated and Akpabio was brought down, do you know what it means? Akpabio is just a very tough man. Any other senator would have by now been down for this. If those claims were false, Natasha is evil. Feminists can come for me. I care very little about you. Oh, rubbish. Can we please move to the next tweet? I thought Senator Akpabio is still trying to get his health back. Why is he trying to worsen it with his court case? Who is advising him not to let the sleeping dog lay? Okay, let's move to the next one. Reporting to Donald Trump. Nigerians, why are you like this?
I mean, he has good reasons because he's always referencing Donald Trump. Last week he said Donald Trump was on their neck.
He said Donald Trump is on our neck.
And the first time he said, who am I to respond to Donald Trump? So it's a very valid tweet.
But on a very serious note, I like the fact that we've played it out. Whoever is guilty should be made to face the law. If Senator Natasha is guilty based on everything being under false pretense or falsehood, I'm sure she would face the law. And same goes for the Senate president. So let's not try to maybe say, oh, because one person is the Senate, let's not take sides. I like where it's going to. Yeah. It's going to the courts now. Senator Natasha did put out a tweet as well. In her tweet, she was excited. She was sounding very, very happy in her tweet. She was like, yes, finally. And she also mentioned that, let's not forget that it's the wife of the Senate president that had also said she was going to take her to court for having accused her husband. So it's much more like we're going to see a lot
so romantic.
Yes, we're going to see a lot of court cases because you cannot in any way accuse my husband of guys, calm down. You cannot accuse my husband of this and at the same time we'll let it go. That's one. I also agree with the first tweet. You have cases where some men are just accused of carrying out sexual in quotes and then they are being locked up in prison for years. We've seen cases. I stumbled on one yesterday, popular celebrity Jason Derulo. Twice.
False accusations.
False accusations. Twice. He lost billions of money. And she did the first one. The court struck it out and said no. She went to another state and did it again. When she went to the court, he had to fly to the other state again. And the same court, another court rather, struck it out. But at the end of the day, he lost money, lost everything. We also remember a Manchester City footballer, their left wing back.
Yes, this black.
His career is done now. He's done.
Yeah.
It's no money.
But he got a deal in France, but it can't make up for everything.
It can't make up. In short,
yeah.
He said his life is he can't get what he lost back. So for those who are concerned, your concerns are valid, 100%. It is good to clarify these things, and I'm up for it. That listen, it should be clarified. If at the end of the day it's not clarified and it's found out to be false, then I'm sorry, Senator Natasha, you have to face it. However, if it's clarified and it is true, I'm sorry, Honorable Senator, President of the Senate, you too have to face it. So I like the fact that it's in the court. I think it's a good place to be. Let's just hope that the judiciary will do the needful and follow due diligence. That's just what I think.
But there are concerns about the institution, the Nigerian Senate.
Oh, well.
An institution that, why do you have senators washing their dirty linen in public and their alternative dispute mechanisms that you could use to deal with this?
The problem is that the Red Chamber has oftentimes been plagued with some very terrible reputation. This is not the first time that we've had, well, on this scale.
Remarks and
exactly.
Like
He's in the same Senate that a senator slapped somebody.
I said this is not a nice club.
This is not a nice club. It's the same Senate that a sitting senator, slapped somebody in a sex toy shop and recently has another case against him. You know, so it's a really, it's not a good look, and we hope that there's investigation.
All eyes on the judiciary.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Judiciary.
Yes,
but before we wrap up, you know I would always come from my YouTube family. We're streaming live on News Central's page on YouTube. Please go there and engage with us, and I would like to go there to take comments from time to time. I can see Annie Chinedu Brown. Welcome back, Olive, always radiating like sunshine. Thank you so much.
Like a radiator.
Thank you, Mokuye Chukwuemeka, for the kind wishes and the welcome back. Annie Chinedu Brown says, attempted coup in Benin and the citizens were jubilant. Concomitant of corruption interwoven in flawed autocracy masquerading as democracy in West Africa.
Are you sure that's not Honorable Obaya?
It's a lot of English. He said, between Nigeria and Togo, which country will win? Mokuye Chukwuemeka also says, and President saying they had already activated the military to go into Benin is absurd. The man just wants war by all means, making irrational decisions. Yes,
we forgot one of the biggest stories that happened over the weekend. They woke up draws and President Donald Trump giving himself, Gianni Infantino manufacturing a peace prize out of the air and giving Donald Trump out of a long short list of one.
We need to go now. Let's head to breakfast.
Nigeria's not going to be welcome.
But the NFF president.
Time for headlines. Top stories this morning. Senator Ali Ndume urges President Tinubu to withdraw ambassadorial nominees list. Still looking at our stories this morning. Loyalist troops foil coup attempt in Benin Republic. And looking at politics within Nigeria, PDP condemns defection of Rivers State lawmakers, vows legal action. It's not yet over in Rivers State. And the Vice President Shettima unveils 1 billion naira family business grant. We'll be bringing the newspaper front pages to you this morning. Join us for all these and more on Breakfast Central.
What's the name of it?
Welcome back. Over the weekend, the Republic of Benin narrowly escaped what could have been another military takeover in the region. In the early hours of Sunday, a faction of the Beninese military led by Lieutenant Colonel Pascal Tigri attacked President Patrice Talon's residence in Cotonou and seized control of the country's national television.
Tigri declared himself head of a so-called military committee for the foundation, echoing a now familiar script in the region. But by midday, Loyalist forces had regained control, but the Interior Minister confirmed the coup had been thwarted. This attempted coup is the latest in a string of military uprisings across West Africa, from Mali to Burkina Faso, Guinea to Niger. It's Benin, the next domino in what's being called the West African coup belt. Join us this morning for discussions. This and more is African Affairs Analyst, Dr. David Matsanga. A warm welcome to you, Dr. Matsanga, and good to see you.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for calling me again on this important thing. I was in Mali a few days ago. I wanted to pass near Lagos to see you, but
that would have been nice.
I will be passing Lagos anytime in next year. But thank you very much for inviting me.
Good to have you, Dr. Matsanga. I mean, another coup. It's almost like a recurring theme in this West African region. What does this failed coup in the Republic of Benin tell us about the fragility of the state of democracy and democratic institutions in West Africa?
First, one man, one vote in Africa is collapsed. I want to state facts first, then come to your fragility, how fragile it is. One man, one vote in Africa is collapsed. If you look at elections across Africa, everybody, there is nobody who concedes apart from South Africa, Senegal, Ghana, Liberia, and perhaps some other state that you saw conceding peacefully and going home. The rest of the complaints spring from elections. The rest of the complaints come from bad elections. The rest of the complaints come from the factors that Olive has enumerated there. Corruption, change of constitution. You see, changing the constitution, extending the term limit of governance. You are actually making a silent coup without the military, but you are extending to 7 years. What has happened? Because you want to stay there. Look at the coups, not only in the belt. Look at Madagascar, elections. Everywhere where elections are now, one man, one vote is dying. Africa needs to go back to one thing, renaissance. Go back to find out what's wrong with our systems. Our systems were, imposed on us, and we still have those bad manners. So this is not a surprise visit. There are several visits around there, underlining problems. Burkina Faso, Ivory Coast, extended the term limit, remove the term age. Another one, there is another guy there in the corner. I will not speak about your country so that our television is not banned. There is another guy in the corner there in Cameroon. That is a time bomb in waiting. And Africans need to be told the truth. The leader of opposition has fled. He's gone. He's gone. And the guy just fabricated results, took over power. 93-year-old, he doesn't know where he is. He doesn't know whether he's in London. Unfortunately, he can't come here because I've put a caveat. If he steps in this country, he will never go back he will die on a hospital bed. Look, there are so many things that are happening in that region. Another one in Gabon removes the uniform, takes over. African Union is watching. A multiple factors, my sister and brothers, multiple factors. Corruption. You can't see oil being pumped out over you, and you have 10 children, they have not gone to school. Hello, Africa. Hello. Wake up. That is not, we can silence this one, but there is more. And for me, if you call me and you don't want me to come, I will not come. But I'll tell you the truth. There is more. There are more coups in Africa coming than democracy. One man, one vote in Africa is dead.
About our democracy. We also see the same democracy applied in other countries in the world, and they do not have these issues. Is it that Africa has its own peculiarity, especially when it comes to maybe the presidents or the leaders? Are they not playing right, or is it in any way affecting how citizens view how they carry out their mandates? I'll give an example just quickly. You did mention it briefly. Let's look at Equatorial Guinea. I'm sure you are aware of what's going on there. You also mentioned Cameroon. And then if you come down to other parts of the African continent, you also see that it seems power is being held tight. Could this be the major reason for these coups? And are we going to see more if we continue like this?
Absolutely right. I'm not a supporter of coups. I am a military man myself by background. That's why you see me still frank and open. I know what to kill, how people can die when there is a coup, when there is a revolution. We removed Idi Amin. I helped to remove Idi Amin for a cause, because Idi Amin was killing. He killed 1 million people in Uganda. But let me tell you frankly, brother, the reasons you have given. We still have a colonial hangover. If you look at your logistics, I am a member of Chatham House, a member of the International Life member of International Institute of Strategic Studies. I get all these reports. I predicted this coup in Benin coming. When I was in Mali, I told, check out the radio, South African radio stations. I said it is coming, because you can see the signs. People were grumbling. But one of the things we have not done, we have not, removed the colonial hangover. There is a colonial hangover where some Africans are saying, excuse me, where are we heading? Why do you come to our country, collect our money, then it goes to France? Why is the French still hovering over Africa? Leave us alone. The new generation that is coming is saying, hello, what is going on here? The army listens to these complaints. The civilians have no other way out. They come, abductions, kidnap. Boko Haram is eating, not Boko Haram. Terrorists have eaten the whole of north of your countries. It has eaten them. Nobody is doing anything. Nobody is calling for international support. We have a problem. The whole of that belt, north, every Ghana, where, Togo, Benin, Nigeria, everybody going up to Chad. If you study the politics of Africa and the conflicts, the insurgency, the jihadists, the Al-Qaeda, the ISIS are all there. Now, given this, the governments down seated in the capital cities, fortunately, most of these capital cities were done at the cost for the colonial master to take away the gold, the diamonds, the iron, the oil. The people inside feel the whole problem, but people at the coastal cities have no problem. They say it is okay, let them die. So these feelings are coming back to the soldiers. The soldiers see you taking money, banking money in the United States of America, in Switzerland, in Dubai, but the people are poor. Therefore, coups will come, and they are going to come. Some of them, I don't support some of the coups, like the one of Gabon, like the one of Guinea-Conakry. Those are stooges of the French hegemony. We know what they do. In fact, I know what they have done. I don't want to tell you, you will be ashamed as an African. But let's be honest. These coups come as a result of bad management of civilian governments. Why did you extend to 7 years? What for? What haven't you achieved in 5 years that you want to find 7 more years? And then you say, I'm not going to stand. Then it comes to that time, you say, no, I did not finish my 7 years. Look at Togo. That's another time bomb. Look, the man removed everything, then he said, we start afresh. So these extensions, removal of term limits, that safeguard constitutionalism, are part of the problems that are there around, especially the French territories. And I'm telling you, it is not yet over until it is over. These coups are going to come. They will not be, it is surprising that around there is a big country that will be shaking. By 2026 February, there will be another one. There will be many. So let's be preparing. Let's serve the people. People are not being served, my sister and brothers. They are not being served. You see oil being pumped over you when you have a pothole on the road bigger than the creator of Mount Kilimanjaro. What do you think? People are not eating. People cannot have money. People cannot take children to school. Schools are not available. Hospitals are empty. There are no drugs. What do you do? Even some countries are begging for food. What do you do? What do you do? What do civilians do? Bad elections. When it comes to bad elections, everybody, opposition, both ways. Look at the opposition in Africa. We don't have opposition in Africa. We have people who look for money from the West. Agencies like a Ford Foundation. You have seen the mistake. The Ford Foundation pumped $10 million in Tanzania. You see, evidence is there now coming up. $10 million to overthrow government. George Soros, America, bad policy is calling us a problem. Then they come around and say, oh, there is a problem. The French are now coming out. If it was not the French scrambling the airspace of Benin, that coup was successful, was going to be successful. And it is not, they've not celebrate yet. The same army that saved the president, Talon, could be the same army that removes him in another time. I am not a friend of the coups because I know how
President Talon. Let's talk about President Talon and what the future of leadership in Benin would look like. What is the implication of this attempted coup? What effect do you think it will have on the elections? They have their presidential elections coming up on the 26th of April 2026, following their parliamentary elections on the 11th of January 2026. So what effect do you think this attempted coup and the whole situation will have on the incoming elections? Especially because there have been allegations of silencing of majority opposition voices in the country.
That is exactly, the opposition has been silenced. There's a lady in prison that died, like you. She's there. She has been put, my God, you haven't, some of these countries I don't want to travel, even if I don't want my passport to be stamped in that I've gone to Benin. You know, there are certain things that these people do badly. And the African people must stand up to call them out because there is nobody. People who used to call them out, African Union is dead. They wait for the coup to happen, then they condemn. Why don't we politicize? Why don't the African Union Security Political Committee go to Benin and find out that there is a problem here and advise the government to change? That is what is happening. There's a woman in Benin who has been taken for life. They say sentenced to life. She will never see her. She will never even, because she was simply saying, why are you changing the constitution here? Why do you change? If I were President Talon, I would actually leave very quickly. Because the same men who saved him, one of them is going to come and say, I'm sorry. You just go home. You know these soldiers, let me tell you, I'm a soldier. You see what your bosses do. These soldiers see what these presidents do. The president send people to bank money in Switzerland. The soldiers are seeing. The one who overthrew Conde was the aide de camp. He used to know. He's one of those who banked Conde's money. So when he sees billions being carried banked in Citibank, don't you think he comes for you? He wants that money too. So the soldiers are also human beings, and they have families. You have 10 children, a family of 10 children, and you have nothing to pay school fees for. And the soldier in the barracks with 1,100, 200 naira. For example, let's look your currency. Earning 300 naira, he had to support 10 relatives. These hardships are not only hitting. The civilian governments in West Africa start thinking about changing the lives of the people. You can't tell me a country like Nigeria has no lights. When you have 241 waterfalls, you can't make electricity. How will you grow your industry? You are carrying generators from China. You will finish all the generators from China. Yet you have waterfall. Don't you think for that country? So these are some of the things that the civilian government should do so that they prevent the military from intervening in some of these cases. We should not condemn the military. In fact, I'm going to the AU from here. I will be flying to the AU this evening to go through Addis Ababa to find out why this lousy chairman of AU is not even sending your Nigerian man called Ambassador Bankole to be going around these West African states to educate the people that this is what governments in civilian tell them. We created this secretariat to educate people, my people. But the African Union has been captured by France, unfortunately. ECOWAS, that Olive is talking about, reading the messages of ECOWAS. Who funds ECOWAS? Who funds ECOWAS? France. France, look at their budget. You younger people, open up your eyes. Some of us are going home. God is calling us. Open up your eyes and help, especially the media, talk the truth. Like the owner of this media station, he has talked the truth all along. I've met him several times. He talks the truth. Talk your mind out. Call these leaders. Who funds ECOWAS? ECOWAS is being funded by France. France pays 3/4 of ECOWAS money. Africans not able to fund ECOWAS. Africans not able to fund AU. Africans not able to fund East African communities. SADC, they are funded by European Union. That's why you see this Bazungu come here and give us orders. Where is the Patrice Lumumba here?
Dr. Matanga, if I may come in here, I'm glad you mentioned the African Union. And in your submission, you said one of the reasons why this coups happen is because of bad management of citizens and the economy by this government. That's one of the reasons why we have coups. And you also mentioned the fact that they also commit what some analysts have termed civilian coups, constitutional coups, by extending term limits, age limits, and what have you. And we often hear the phrase African solutions to African problems. So what's the African Union doing about this? Is there no peer review mechanism? Why don't they condemn this extension to term limits? You mentioned the fine example of Ivory Coast, Alassane Ouattara, that we've seen. These are also coups. You know, when you have rubber stamp legislators give you, extension or limited term limits, it's also a coup. And when the military responds, that's when you start seeing threats and statements and all of that. So why can't we put our house together as Africans?
Olive is a lawyer. Bad charter. We have a wrong charter. Our AU charter was formed for liberation of Africa in 1963. Let's change it. We have given the task to President William Ruto of Kenya to change the charter, reform. It was for liberation, it's not longer for safeguarding these principles. We have only modified it. We have done perestroika. You were in Russia, you understand glasnost and perestroika. So we have just done a modification. Nobody condemns this civilian coups. Extension of term limit. When your term is about to end, you extend, is very dangerous. It's a coup. A civilian polite coup. It's like President Tinubu to tell people that instead of 5 years, let's go for 7. When his final term is about to end. There's a coup. Why are we not condemning that? Exactly. Your man in charge is a Nigerian at the African Union. He's called Ambassador Bankole. He has been there for 30 years, doing nothing, eating dollars every day. He doesn't even know that there was going to be a coup in Benin. Why are we having him there? Nigeria puts him there to remove human rights records, erase them. You go to AU and ask, how many people have been kidnapped in Nigeria? You will not find anything. Akuna, let's talk the truth as Africans. It is good this station tells us to cry tears. Nigeria has erased the whole record of all the children who are being kidnapped in Nigeria. You can't find it in AU. Corruption has gone there. Another woman in AU, in United Nations called Amina, she doesn't see these problems. Some of us cry tears for Africa. I'm not a Nigerian. I'm not a West African. I'm a Ugandan. We see these problems. That woman in United Nations, Assistant Secretary General, doesn't she see these children abducted? And she doesn't she tell the United Nations Secretary General, hey, look here, corruption. Again, she was appointed by the same regime that said, don't say anything. Our girls are being taken. How do you feel in the studio when you see your daughter you have taken to school and then you come back to collect her at 3 p.m. You don't find her. And we are here. Trump is not interested in us. Trump is interested in money. Trump, look at the agreement of Congo DRC with Trump. Look at that. You cry tears. It is pure money. Commercial democracy. Even soon, Tinubu is going to write a commercial democracy. You watch me and put this thing down here. He's going to write, come and take the oil and protect me. But the African solution is for what? AU is dead.
Dr. Musanga,
Thank you so much.
It's been a heated morning, I must say. I think we got you on the right side of the bed, and even though it's cold out there, you've brought the heat into the studio down here. Thank you so much for joining us, and thanks for sharing your thoughts on the recent issue in Benin Republic. Well, if you just tuned in, this is Breakfast Central. Our guest has been an international analyst who's looked into the situation that took place right there in Benin Republic over the weekend. We're not done yet. We'll bring to you more stories, but let's see what's coming up next here on Breakfast Central. Welcome back. The Senate is set to screen 65 ambassadorial nominees submitted by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, but Senator Ali Ndume has criticized the list for violating the federal character principle. The nominees, which are in the categories of 34 career diplomats and 31 non-career candidates, were forwarded to the Senate last Thursday, referred to the Committee on Foreign Affairs, which has 1 week to report back. Ndume argued that the distribution of nominees across states and geopolitical zones is uneven, citing cases where some states received multiple slots while others received none, and noting the inclusion of a nominee reportedly deceased. He warned that the imbalance breaches Section 14, subsection 3 of the Constitution, and urged President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to withdraw and reconstitute the list.
The nominees include top diplomats and former government officials, such as Ambassador Sulu Gambari Olatunji Ahmed, Vice Admiral Ibok Ete Ibas, Ita Enang, Lieutenant General Abdurrahman Dambazao, retired, Reno Omokri, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, Otumba Femi Pedro, Chief Femi Fanikayode, I beg your pardon, Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi, and Senator Jimo Ibrahim. Senate insiders say the screening will be rigorous, especially for politically exposed nominees. Joining us this morning is a senior legislative aide to the Senate President, Mr. Justin Ogo Nwankwo. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, and it's a pleasure to be with you this morning.
It is a pleasure to have you. Thank you. So let's talk about what the next steps will be for the Senate. Is there going to be an official address? I mean, these are very strong claims that Senator Ndume has made that the ambassadorial list breaches the federal character principle. Will the Senate address it, or just move over and continue to the next step?
Well, Senator Ndume is one out of the 109 senators that we have at the 10th National Assembly. So you would expect that within the rules of the House, just like as the President of the Senate has already instructed, a greater percentage of this screening, I believe, will be done by the Senate Committee on Foreign Affairs. But still under what you may call the authority of the President of the Senate, he may still decide to bring it to the very chambers for every member of the Senate to look at it. Now, there is no need for any serious address, neither there is any need to take out of context whatever any of the senators are saying. Senator Ali Ndume is one of the senators, a seasoned one at that. So his remarks, I believe, will be part of what will be laid at the table of the Senate. By the time the screening begins, I believe he will have the opportunity not only to have aired it as he did with the media, but this time around to bring it to the floors of the Senate where his fellow senators and colleagues will also have the opinion. So I believe there is no need to overflog his statement. It is his own right and within his own context to do that. But I believe for the term screening, what it simply means is that at all times, all gray hairs, all dots, and all eyes will be there. So let's Nigerians believe that at the Senate, under the watchful eyes of Senator Godfrey Akpabio, GCON, we do the needful. It is a screening exercise, and it will be thorough and rigorous. Those who watched that of CG Musa, now Minister of Defense, will see that it took the Senate almost the whole day to screen this appointment. So it's not enough for Mr. President to have done the appointments. Within the constitutional aims and the barriers, you will see the Senate sweep in to begin to do their job. It's a thorough exercise, and I can tell you, Nigerians will be better off after that exercise.
Okay. Mr. Nwankwo, you said it's a thorough exercise, and you also rightly cited the screening of retired General C.G. Musa. One of the reasons why that screening exercise lasted so long was because the senators knew the portfolio he was going to be feeling, that's defense, and then they could ask the questions that were suited to his portfolio. But are we going to get a situation where the names are just forwarded and they screen them without knowing what destination or countries they will be posted to? Should we expect the executive to attach their postings in order for the Senate to do a thorough job before they're screened?
Well, thank you very much. You know, every presidency has its own routine methods of operation. We have watched President Tinubu when he submitted the list of his ministerial nominees. You could see that from what he did at the time, there were attachments, more or less, of the portfolios. So it makes it a lot easier for questions and for every other member of the National Assembly, especially at the Senate, to have their questions and their tasks cut out. If I assume that that is going to be the case because there is a precedent, that's what you call systems of operation. If President Tinubu's system is that he attaches it, so we are expecting that these ambassadorial nominees, of course, they have also been able to clearly delineate those who are career ambassadors and those who are non-career ambassadors. So it makes the task easier. And now, with the question you asked, we are expecting, taking from what we may call precedence, that there will be attachments of portfolios. However, this is purely a prerogative of Mr. President. The Senate cannot compel him to do this. He has only done what he has to do within the constitutional rights to forward his list. The prerogative of assigning them their different countries or consulars is purely that of the President. But we are expecting that it is attached. And let me say this also, that the senators are themselves Nigerians. So let us not see them as neither super Nigerians nor alienated or a little bit marooned from what Nigerians are thinking. They are reading, they are watching. Even as we speak, they are also following the news. And therefore, they are Nigerians like us. And so whatever thing that it is the burden of the people, whatever thing that people are clamoring for, especially in the names that are there and every other thing that a lot of people are saying in the media, be rest assured that this 10th Senate is a robust one. If you see the level of debates, the level of opinions that come up, especially when issues like this arise, then you will know that we are in this screening for a hot debate. I cannot preempt what will happen, but I can tell you that this screening is something every Nigerian must glue his eyes and his ears to the national TV, especially those correspondents of the National Assembly within the media and the international media space.
Okay, just to run through two questions quickly. My first question is, some quarters feel that this list, the nominees are being rushed. The names are rushed just to meet up with the demands, especially since the United States had made that strong statement through its president, President Donald Trump. We've seen a list that is coming up and is looking very, very rushed. And on that same list, there's a name that was mentioned. I'm talking about Senator Talba, who had died 5 months ago. So do you actually agree with the fact that this list was rushed? And secondly, maybe, just maybe, the Senate would need to ask the president to take his time and go through the names again before reviewing it and then sending it back to them. What's your take?
Well, for the last 2 years into this administration, we've never had neither the list of ambassadorial nominees nor of any of such news. We Nigerians, including the senators themselves, including the 10th Assembly themselves, have all been expecting this important constitutional assignment for Mr. President. If after 2 years, from 2023 to 2025, number one, this list now starts coming out, I find it a little bit illogical to say that it is rushed. It becomes a logical fix to say that it is rushed after all this waiting. That's number one. Then number two, if you watch what Mr. President has done, especially in transmitting his own nominees to the National Assembly, especially to the Senate, you will discover that he has been doing it.
A little network glitch there. We're hoping to have Mr. Nwankwo join us back again. Hopefully the network is stable, but it calls for question because the said name, Senator Adamu Garba Talba, died in July. That's about 5 months ago, but his name is actually on that list. Kind of like a reminiscent of what we did see with the late former Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari, who also appointed dead or late politicians to government boards, not just once, but multiple times in 2017 and also in 2020. Okay, if you're here, you can go ahead, please.
Well, with reference to the name in question that has been adjudged deceased, I think it is not. It is a matter of what will also be found out. The media has just said this. Perhaps in the course of the screening, more revelations will come about this name. I do not want to presuppose that in some occasions there are multiple Justin Nwankwos. One can say that Justin Nwankwo is no more there, while at the end of the day it is not Justin Nwankwo who is black in complexion that is in the equation. But like I said, this is a nomination list that is coming to the Senate. It is being transmitted.
Do you think it's rushed? Do you think it's rushed?
It has not to do with the names there. The duty of the Senate is to screen them. If the Senate finds out that one of the nominees is dead and is actually confirmed dead and not duplication of names or some other person answering the same name, the Senate will also unveil it. I do not believe that we are going to preempt the activities of the screening here. Let the names come before them.
Okay. All right. Network issues again. Hopefully we get that right. But let's see.
I get the point of Mr. Nwakwa is saying that, you know, sometimes people have two names. You might not be the only Jonathan Hansen in
There
Nigeria.
might be someone else.
There might be someone else. So when it gets to the floor of the Senate, they'll decide if it's actually that person or not. And he's also saying that the precedent that we've seen in this government, but I can't recall the government attaching portfolios. But we have Mr. Nwakwa back, so Olive, you could go ahead and ask your question.
All right, thank you very much for sharing with us. Wanted to get your thoughts again regarding the screening process and what you think the screening process would be like. And maybe from your assessment, who and who do you think would have the most thorough screenings? We know that there are some politically exposed persons on the list. So maybe you can share with us who you think would have the most, or who and who you think would have the most thorough screening.
Well, the truth of the matter is that me and you know, just like you and me know, me and you and me know.
Mm-hmm.
There are names already that are generating what you.
Okay.
At the end of the day, none of them will have a lesser screening than the other. You see, if you watch in the last election, the last screening exercise, you see that the president of the Senate was not comfortable with any idea of buy and go. So long as the Senate, especially this 10th Senate, and especially with this kind of assignment, is strictly not allowing buy and go, that means we have enough plate in our hands. So you can be sure that all the nominees will have their day before the Senate. The questions will come, their backgrounds will be checked. Even what people are already beginning to permutate. These are Nigerian. Utterances, they will look at people's background, history. Already before these nominees are forwarded, their security reports must also have been attached alongside their portfolios and their qualifications. The remaining part now is to weigh them on the scale of history, to weigh them on the scale of their patriotism, to weigh them on the scale of their capacity to become ambassadors, the face of government, of Nigerian government across the world, especially now that the Nigerian community and the Nigerian international relations, especially in relation to America, is a little bit on the edge. So I'm sure that the Nigerian senators, especially Senator Godswill Akpabio's led 10th Senate, will not allow any of these people who may not qualify to go through in this screening. So I expect some names to get it hot. Well, I may not be able to preempt the Senate, but I'm sure that there will
What
be
names are we talking about? What names?
At least give us one.
I'm only an aide. I can only tell you, I can only preempt what will happen. I do not want to go into those names.
Okay.
But me, like I said, I already expecting certain area. And the senators are also fully gearing up for that exercise. So don't underestimate what the Nigerian senators can do. Don't underestimate
I like that statement that you made, that don't underestimate what Nigerian senators can do, because quite a number of analysts out there feel that, you know, this might just end up as an exercise in futility, judging by the antecedent of the 10th Senate. They say the 10th Senate is a Father Christmas Senate. It's a rubber stamp. Anything the executive asks for, they get. So they expect all the nominees to pass and get their appointments as ambassadors.
Can I say something? Can I say something?
Please go ahead.
During the screening of the ministerial nominees and the inception of this government, we must, just like I mentioned about portfolio, you must have to be historical. It is of history and of historicity. These are our guides. During the last, you cannot say this current Senate is a Father Christmas. Some names that came up in the names forwarded by Mr. President the 2023 ministerial screening nominees, some of those names fall flat before the Nigerian Senate, especially this 10th Senate. You and me know that some of the names that was forwarded by Mr. President, the senators led by Senator Goswell Akpabio's 10th Senate, were not able to screen them. They didn't pass the screening. So it's not a father.
Oh, wow.
Come and say, go. I've said it before. So they're not Father Christmas. There is a prominent name, and there are a lot of prominent people whose names were forwarded to the Senate during the ministerial list, who the Senate did screened and they said they did not pass. And therefore, they didn't become ministers today. So ambassadorial list cannot also be the difference. I'm not expecting a Father Christmas approach. I do not. That's why I say don't.
Even though it's December.
What do you say?
Even though we're in December, we shouldn't expect a Father Christmas approach from the Senate.
Not at all. In fact, each December is more or less like a Lenten period for Nigerians. In fact, it is called a Christmas period, but we are in a purging period. We are on a reflecting period. We are on a Lenten period, especially for Christian usage. Even for those of our brothers who are Muslims, they also have a period they call a period of fasting and prayers
Ramadan.
Ahead of Salah. So this is a period that even though the festive season approaches, but the Nigerian mood is so.
Hello.
Oh, well.
Mr. Nwako just told us that there won't be on 1 December in the Senate this December. On 1 December.
I think that's what he's highlighting, by the way. Mr. Nwako, if you're there.
It seems that has been disconnected, but thank you very much, Mr. Gowanko, for joining us. We'll continue to follow the screening exercise at the Senate and see, what the next steps are. Of course, like he said, you and me know, I and you know, we all know some of the names that should get thorough screening.
We'll get it, and we should not expect a Father Christmas approach.
No Father Christmas approach.
No on 1 December.
No on 1 December. 1 December, Elugo, but not in the Red Chambers. Vice President Kashim Shettima has launched a 1 billion naira family business grant initiative in Akwa Ibom State aimed at boosting grassroots prosperity and empowering households across the Ukanafung or Ukanam federal constituency of the state. The Vice President, while speaking at the launch of the Renewed Hope Arise agenda program, described the initiative as a practical model for delivering democratic dividends directly to Nigerian households and expressed President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's commitment to economic interventions that will uplift families and stimulate inclusive growth. News Central State House correspondent Petina Mweli reports.
The initiative, conceived by House of Representatives member Uyime Idem, provides seed capital to help families start or expand small-scale enterprises. Vice President Kashim Shettima noted that empowering citizens at the family level strengthens local businesses, increases income, and promotes self-reliance, especially for women and young people.
The promise of this initiative aligns perfectly with the ideals of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's Renewed Hope agenda, which prioritizes economic empowerment and job creation, support for micro, small and medium enterprises as catalysts to stimulate local commerce, reduction of multidimensional poverty, and expansion of social protection, and the strengthening of public, private, and legislative partnerships that broaden the reach of prosperity. 1,000 families will benefit from 1 million naira each.
The Deputy Governor of Akwa Ibom State, as well as Honorable Idem, expressed gratitude for the Vice President's presence, emphasizing the transparency of the grants distribution process.
On behalf of the government and good people of Akwa Ibom State, I feel honored to welcome the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Senator Shettima, GCON, to Kanafon local government area for the 1 billion naira family-based empowerment initiative.
Thousands of our youth have been trained in various skills and empowered with startup packs, while support items like cars, motorcycles, among others, have been donated to numerous households to enable them grow sustainable livelihoods.
The 1 billion naira empowerment initiative is expected to stimulate local economic activity and support household stability across the constituency. In Abuja, for News Central, Bettina Mwili.
You could rightly say that Akwa Ibom is indeed receiving all the grace. Well, that doesn't mean that the grace will not touch other states as well. But then again, you can rightly say that it's going round. It's going round. So all that being relax.
Okay.
It's coming to you.
I'm waiting for Delta State.
Delta.
Family grant.
Delta has always received it.
And also Ondo State Family Grant. I will participate. Johansson, when are you not going to collect part of that 1 billion family grant?
Well, for the
bona fide indigent.
For the yes, I should be in Akwa Ibom soon. I should be in Akwa Ibom soon.
Okay.
But let's move on now. Let's tell you about something else. Nigeria and Japan are edging closer to a new framework of cooperation that will boost technical support, expand human capacity development, and increase health sector investments, as the Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Ali Pate, meets with Japan's Minister of Health in Tokyo on the sidelines of the Global Leaders Coalition meeting. According to Pate, the discussion signaled renewed commitment by both nations to strengthen health systems through shared expertise and development support. He emphasized that ongoing engagements with development partners in Tokyo are focused on establishing a sector-wide approach that aligns with Nigeria's health reform agenda and long-term sustainability goals. Take a look.
Met the Minister of Health of Japan, who expressed deep appreciation for the collaboration between Nigeria and Japan over time in areas of health security, public health, as well as in health system development. We are in advanced conversations for the government of Japan to step up in terms of their participation in the health sector renewal investment initiative. And we hope that that will be, in fact, an important addition. While the UHC hub that Japan has now kicked off provides opportunities for knowledge exchange, capacity building, technical assistance, and cooperation with other like-minded countries all over the world.
Justin, hopefully the Nigeria's healthcare sector will benefit tremendously from this partnership. But let's find out what we have this time as we plan to head straight to South Africa. Let's tell you that the 5 suspects allegedly linked to the recruitment of South Africans to fight in Russia-Ukraine war are appearing this morning at the Kempton Park Magistrate Court in Johannesburg. Remember last week we brought you details of this story where we had our correspondent who was just outside the court, and she shared more light on what really was going on. She did mention that there seemed to be fingers pointing to the daughter of a former president of South Africa. But right now, according to the police, preliminary investigation revealed that a South African female had been facilitating the travel and recruitment of these individuals into the Russian Federation military. But let's also highlight very key points this morning. In November, South Africa's government said it had received distress calls from 117, I beg your pardon, 17 citizens who were trapped in Ukraine's war-torn Donbass region after joining mercenary force. However, our correspondent Bongani Siziba broke down the details when she joined us last week, but we have an update right now, and she is live with us this morning. Good morning to you, Bongani Siziba, and thanks for joining us with the fresh updates concerning the men or the number of persons who wanted to move from South Africa and, of course, move towards Russia, and concerning the Ukraine and Russia war. Are you there? Good morning to you. Okay, we'll try as much as possible to see if we can establish connection with Bongani Siziba to give us update on the Russia military recruitment. It's a big story, especially coming from Africa, where many would have thought that the war between Russia and Ukraine would actually be one that will fizzle out in due time. But having Africans being allegedly pointed to join this fight, either on both sides, be it Russia, Ukraine, is a question that has led to this conversation. But let's see if we can establish connection once more. Bongani, if you can hear me. Ooh, okay, all right. We'll try as much as possible to connect with her in the course of the program. We'll go to a quick break. When we come back, Breakfast Central continues. More stories, especially that with the PDP. Finally, the House of Assembly in Rivers State did come out in full glare to say we quit. And what is the PDP saying about it? We'll talk about that in a moment.
You're welcome back to Breakfast Central. In what many have described as a new twist to the political events in Rivers State, 17 members of the Rivers State House of Assembly, all elected under the banner of the People's Democratic Party, have defected to the All Progressives Congress. The move was led by Speaker Martins Amewule, who cited internal divisions within the PDP and a desire to join hands with the president as reasons for their move.
Distinguished colleagues, very happily, let me announce to honorable members that your speaker, Right Honorable Martin Chike Amewule, has decided and has indeed written to my ward chairman. I've written to my ward chairman, Mr. Osondolo. There's the PDP ward chairman, Obiakpo Ward 1, of my decision to leave the People's Democratic Party. Distinguished colleagues, APC is my new party. I will do all that is needed to be done towards ensuring that the party card of the All Progressive Congress is issued to me in no time. But as I speak,
apologize for that clarity on the video, but then again, it is what it is. The PDP has kicked back hard, calling the defection a betrayal of the people's mandate. FCT Minister Nyesom Wike, a key PDP figure and former Rivers governor, called the defection unfortunate, but says lawmakers acted within their constitutional rights. Joining us for this discussion is a member of the People's Democratic Party, all the way from the Federal Capital Territory, Mr. Anthony Ehilebo joins us this morning. Good morning to you, Mr. Anthony. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
All right, great. What does one make of this fresh defections? Because we've seen this happen before in the state, which led to a full political crisis till it was recently resolved. Is this fresh fallout really as a result of unresolved tensions and crisis in the People's Democratic Party itself, or is there a different motive? Okay, I think we have a little audio connectivity challenge there. So, Mr. Anthony, I'm going to beg you to please just remain with us. We'll come back to you to carry out this conversation. It's a very interesting one. But let's take a short break. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back from the break. We have our guest who's joining us, Mr. Anthony Ehilebo. He is a PDP member, and we're looking at the big conversation. It's time, and the time is now. What will the PDP do? Will they take fresh actions, or will they just let it slide, as you have members of the Rivers State House of Assembly who are firmly confirmed and have decided to leave the party? Thank you once again for joining us. We did see information that the PDP says it will take legal action. Can you shed more light on what the PDP has resolved to do?
Well, thank you very much. If you remember, this was a matter that these same lawmakers had denied and probably led whilst in court a few months ago, and almost degenerated into a scenario where allegedly Mr. President had to declare a state of emergency in Rivers State. And for 6 months, the people of Rivers State were left without representation from the various local governments where this, or state constituencies where this House of Assembly members are from. The matter that is before us here is one that really tests the very foundation of our democracy, where you have people who are elected on a particular platform. Look, I'm an electorate. I vote actively, and I've voted for the last 20 years. So imagine if I'd gone to my constituency, my state constituency, and said, I don't like APC. I'm going to vote for PDP. and I vote for someone vying under the umbrella of the PDP, for instance, and that person is meant to represent the mandate of the PDP. And then within a few months, because someone else, a political godfather or whatever, says move, he moves without even taking into consideration the intention of the voter. Most voters vote with where they believe or for parties they believe will carry out a purpose for them. So if the purpose for my voting is not resident in the character and ambience of the All Progressive Congress, why then will a member who I have voted for under the PDP take that mandate and go to the APC? The honorable thing to do, and which is best practice in democracy, is for that person to resign from the State House of Assembly and then maybe contest under the party that he so wishes. But we've seen these people without any reason, without any cause that is meaningful. They are not moving because they feel the interest of their people. None of them is talking about the interest of the people they represent. Let's be very clear about this. And this is where it really defeats the purpose of democracy, where people carry mandates and travel with them as if they're their personal. Those people didn't give themselves the mandate. Most they did for themselves was one vote they cast for themselves. The rest of the votes, cum laude, was given to them by people under the mandate of a particular political party. Now, the PDP is going to go to court, no doubt. There's no division in the PDP. The alleged division was created by their puppet master. You saw him a few days ago constituting a BOT. There was the BOT of PDP holding FCT. Has he ever held in the FCTA conference room? This man is making a mockery of our democracy. And then he has people who enable it. House of Assembly members who should ordinarily voice the concern, who should protect the interests of their constituents, have not done that. All I've heard from them is that they are standing on a mandate, they are declaring support for a president, just like it's happening in my state, where the governor is gyrating at every turn he finds himself in Edo State. So the campaign wishes or desires, we're not yet in 2027. But these people are all gearing up for an election when they haven't even served the people. They forget, this particular House of Assembly, 17 members forget that for 6 months, they were out of function. And prior to that, that house was riddled with a lot of problems. So right now, they're further making this more difficult for even people to understand what exactly they are doing. It's really sad where we are as a country. It's unfortunate that our democracy is going through so much turmoil because of selfish and self-centered politicians.
So the question
I don't know if you can still get it.
Yes, we can. We can.
I'm hoping we can also get some clarity because it's a bit confusing. Like you mentioned, these are the same people who denied defecting initially. So what must have changed between then and now? You're also saying that there isn't an issue within the PDP. So is this some sort of house cleaning that's happening? And what does this imply in the nearest possible future for the strength and the internal cohesion within the People's Democratic Party?
Well, again, it goes back to one man. And this is where some of us are very disappointed, Mr. President, because he enables, he aids this particular person to carry out this nefarious and very dastardly attack on democracy. How can one man, how can one person determine the fate of his state, determine the state of a party that is national, and hold it to ransom because he wants to perpetuate someone in power beyond 2027? This, to me, is a cause for reflection on Nigerians. And is this what we want to continue? Look, all around us, in Guinea-Bissau just a few days ago, Nigeria had to be intervening, Equatorial Guinea, we have to be intervening in a purported coup. Benin Republic 2 days ago had its own day. We need to take lessons from this. And we need people to believe in our democracy. Because all you see happening are little bite sizes that make up a credible a credible opening for the devastation of our democracy. And that's the main issue here, is that this democracy that we have, we've sustained it, the Fourth Republic, we've sustained it for getting to 20-something years now. We need to have it last longer. The development we've seen within this period has surpassed what we've had in the military. And we therefore know that democracy is the best way forward. But the practitioners of this democracy must understand that there are rules, and you cannot continue taking people for granted. There's nothing that justifies what is happening. We all know, and we must tell ourselves the truth. It is one man who has decided that he's just going to play ping pong with the lives, with the aspirations, with the wishes of the people of Rivers State. And this is very unfortunate. This is very unkind. This is very immoral. How do you purport to carry the mandate that was given to you from one political party to another party without doing the honorable thing? These members of House, how many laws since the House of Assembly of Rivers State was constituted 2-3 years ago in 2023? How many laws have they passed? How have they affected the lives of their constituents? They keep, either they are fighting or they are being suspended, or there's a state of emergency that has been imposed on them for 6 months. They have not really delivered the dividends of democracy. How then can you tell someone that democracy is better than any alternative form of governance? How can you tell someone from a constituent in Rivers State that it's better for him to have democracy? He has no reason to believe so. Because if he had any complaint, let me even give an instance. The governor had said he was going to present the budget. This current speaker meets and moves sitting to the 26th of January. It doesn't make sense. Rivers people must wake up and ask the people that are representing them that, is this what we asked you to do? They have been playing politics rather than delivering governance, rather than delivering legislative assistance or legislative responsibilities, delivering on that mandate that was given to them by the people. It's sad. It's a reflection that our democracy is going nowhere. We're nowhere past with this democracy. And then there's a certain connivance with the judiciary. The matter of the state of emergency that was declared in Rivers State was never heard by the Supreme Court. Was never heard till today by the Supreme Court. It then means that the several arms of governance, the legislature, the judiciary, and the executive are complicit. And they do not understand the implications of these things on the mentality of people when it comes to them. If you go on the streets today and you tell or ask an average Nigerian, do you rather democracy or the military come back? You'll be very shocked at the answer they will give you. And this is all as a result of the several uncouth, unnatural progression of political actors, such as those that are in Rivers State, who would rather, and you know, it's not the first time it's been consistent with the...
I'd want us to unpack as many things as we can in the little time we have left. I want to really ask you if you think, you've spoken your mind and you think the members of the Rivers State House of Assembly are wrong to have defected, but would you deny that there is a serious internal crisis and fractionalization at the national level in the People's Democratic Party? I also want to ask you what you make of Governor Siminalayi Fubara's silence. He hasn't spoken about this issue. Do you take it as consent, or is being very careful, remembering how things played out the last time we heard of a purported defection from members of the State House of Assembly?
That's a word I want to use to describe what was saying at this point. Just add a P to his name, or probably a catch. He's been assaulted from beyond reproach. He's been emasculated. When someone has had everything done to him, he's been removed for 6 months. And Ibas, a former military man, put as the sole administrator in his state, an illegality that was foisted on him. How do you remove a governor that has immunity? If all of these things have happened to him, do you think that man will be capable of putting up a fight? He cannot, and that's the complicity of the president. That's the complicity. 200, 300, it's just 100 that were returned yesterday. were kidnapped from Niger State. No state of emergency was declared. Kids were kidnapped in Kebbi State. No state of emergency was declared. But because there's a political machination, you declare state of emergency. It's, you know, these things are clear for the blind to see. And as with regards to PDP, let's be very clear. The PDP has had its convention. The PDP has elected national officers. And the courts, unless they want to do their maybe unusual abracadabra, I do not see how the courts will reverse a convention that within the legal framework was, which needs to happen is you send a notice to INEC for 21 days. That notice was sent from a duly constituted NEC meeting where both the chairman and the secretary signed that notice in front of all NEC members. And that notice was given to INEC there and then at the NEC meeting, because INEC was invited to that meeting. So the due process of constituting a convention was followed. So there's no doubt that the Turaki-led PDP is a legally and duly constituted NWC. Now, for someone to sit in his office, a minister of the Federal Republic, and to use his office, a public space, which is not a political party space, to start constituting a so-called BOT. You know, these are the things that we need to tell Mr. President, that democracy is not to be toyed with. He sees what is happening all around him. We're very worried. We're very concerned that the more he continues to allow this to happen, the more he degrades the capacity of our democracy to withstand the tides and storms that are coming. They are going to come. We've already had rumors in the last 3 months of a purported or alleged coup plot. Please, this message must go to the president and those that handle him, that he needs to handle this issue of PDP with caution. He needs to handle it with care, because the PDP handed over power in 2015 under Goodluck Ebele Jonathan to the APC when they lost an election. We need democracy to continue with the norms and values that are imputed into it. We borrow this sort of governance from the West, and we see how they conduct their affairs. Elections are not said to be free and fair. Can you call what happened in Edo free and fair? Can you call the machinations that are happening, different court orders trying to strangle and emasculate PDP, and then you now create a scenario where you say there's division in PDP? There's no division. The BOT of the PDP remains intact. The NWC of the PDP remains intact. So there's no division anywhere. So for anybody to sit down and try to say, do you want to say that if I feel the APC, I gather 20 people and say I've constituted the neck of the APC, then there's division in APC? That doesn't follow. What follows is, if you look at the setup, the combination or the constitution of a political party that says this is how you convene the highest decision-making body of the party, which is the convention. And that convention says to you, we have expelled so and so people. It cannot be reversed. It is irreversible. It's a done deal. It's a fait accompli. That's done. All those people who gather together and say they are forming the NEC, it doesn't make any sense. They are not NEC members. They don't even have the bureaucracy of PDP. The bureaucracy of PDP has gone with the original and only constituted National Working Committee of the party. The former chairman, Ambassador Ali Ndume, officially has handed over to this set constituted NWC. So what are we talking about? There's no division. If they want division and they hope they can create this division, well, good luck to them. At the end of the day, we will all bear the consequences of the mutilation of our democracy. I don't know if that was clear.
Yes, it was. It was. I mean, your points are clearer. But like we would want to believe, it will be nice to also hear from the members of the assembly who have decided to jump ship. But this is a conversation we'd like to continue. But in the meantime, we want to say thank you so much for taking our time to speak with us. And please do avail us your time when we come back calling. Thanks for joining us, by the way. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, that's not all on Breakfast Central. We do have breakfast headlines coming up next, after which we'll take a look at the front pages of the newspapers. Stay with us.
Welcome to Breakfast Headlines. We begin with good news that the federal government has secured the release of 100 school children abducted from St. Mary's Private Catholic Primary and Secondary School, Papiri, in Agwara local government area, Niger State. Bandits on the 21st of November 2025 attacked the school in the remote community of Papiri, arriving around 2 a.m. on motorbikes. The gunmen stormed the school dormitories for a 3-hour period, abducting 315 people, that is, 303 students and 12 teachers. Security forces and community hunters were deployed to comb nearby forests for the abductees in the immediate aftermath. 50 pupils escaped within the first day and were reunited with their families. However, 253 children and all 12 teachers remained in captivity. French President Emmanuel Macron says France will deepen its security partnership with Nigeria as the country faces rising terrorism and violence in the northern region. Macron revealed on X that he spoke with President Tinubu, expressing France's solidarity and pledging increased support for affected communities. He urged the international community to step up involvement, warning that global actors cannot afford to be passive in the face of worsening insecurity. His remarks come amid renewed global attention after former U.S. President Donald Trump claimed Christian communities in Nigeria are facing intensifying attacks and even threatened political U.S. action. The Nigerian government has yet to respond to Trump's statements, but Macron's message positions France as a key partner in addressing the crisis. And now to more security matters. Suspected terrorists have invaded Jigawa State, attacking Yalwa community in Guri local government area of the state. News Central has confirmed that soldiers have been swiftly deployed to the area, repelling the attack which occurred in the early hours of Sunday. The terrorists allegedly burnt down houses, shooting sporadically before forcing the residents to flee from the community. Although the Jigawa State Police Command is yet to confirm the attack, some residents of the local government area and the Dotse state capital, who pleaded anonymity, confirmed the incident. Vice President Alhaji Kashim Shettima has departed Abuja for Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire, where he is representing President Bola Tinubu at the inauguration of President Alassane Ouattara, who begins his 4th term in office. Scheduled to hold on Monday, the ceremony will attract leaders from across Africa and beyond, reaffirming regional commitment to democratic governance. Shettima is accompanied by ECOWAS Commission, President Omar Aliyu Toure, Senator Abubakar Sani Bello, and Honorable Usman Zana. Nigeria and Côte d'Ivoire maintain strong diplomatic and economic ties, collaborating closely through ECOWAS, the African Union, and a binational commission covering security, trade, agriculture, and the digital economy. And now to politics. The factional People's Democratic Party, PDP, Board of Trustees met in Abuja on Sunday. In his opening address, the factional BOT chairman, Senator Mao Ohabuanwa, reaffirmed the commitment of the body to restoring confidence within the party and organizing congresses in states where they have not yet been held. Senator Ohabuanwa told members who are loyal to the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike that the factional national leadership was ready to work collaboratively with all state chapters to bring fresh leadership and stability across the country.
Distinguished members of the Board of Trustees, today's meeting, which is third in our series, the third meeting, calls us to reaffirm our commitment to the core values that have sustained our party through difficult moments. Our party, which have sustained our party through difficult moments, discipline, constitutional order, and collective responsibility. We gather not merely as leaders, but as custodians of party's moral compass, entrusted with guiding the PDP through this pivotal period with clarity and purpose. Recent actions taken within the party reflect our yielding resolve to uphold the rule of law and defend the integrity of our constitution. Individual whose conduct have threatened the unity, stability, and credibility of our party have been sanctioned in line with established resolutions. These measures were not taken lightly. They became necessary to protect the institution from disaffecting, from internal subversion, and to restore confidence.
We're staying in Kano, where state government has condemned the arrest of the immediate past chairman of the State Public Complaints and Anti-Corruption Commission, Muhuyi Magaji, describing it as unlawful and an abuse of federal might. Operatives of the Nigeria Police Force arrested Magaji on Friday in his chamber and allegedly moved him to the police force headquarters in Abuja. Until the expiration of his tenure, Magaji investigated and prosecuted several criminal cases involving politically exposed personalities, including the immediate past governor of Kano State, Abdullahi Ganduje, and his family members. The state's Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Abdul Karim Mode, while briefing journalists in Kano, queried the arrest and detention of Magaji.
In a political light must be firmly rejected. Accordingly, the government of Kano State hereby demands the following. Number one, demands strict compliance with the constitutional provision, due process, and human rights standards in all action concerning the former chairman of FARC, Mr. Muhuyi Magaji. Calls on the Nigerian Police Force to immediately and publicly clarify the legal basis of the arrest and the transfer to Abuja. Reaffirms its unwavering commitment to the rule of law, separation of powers, and the protection of fundamental human rights. Caution against misuse of federal security apparatus for political objectives capable of destabilizing Kano State and its peace. The Kano State government remains committed to full cooperation with all lawful security agencies operating within the framework of the Constitution. However, it will not hesitate to take all lawful and constitutional steps necessary to protect its citizens, defend democratic governance, and preserve public peace and institutional integrity. The good people of Kano State are hereby urged to remain calm, vigilant, and law-abiding as the government continues to closely monitor the situation and will act decisively in the overall interest of peace, order, and constitutional order.
UN experts report that Rwanda's army and the M23 armed group it supports have carried out executions, arbitrary arrests, and forced mass displacements in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. The findings come in a biannual UN Security Council evaluation set to be publicly released soon. The violations, which include torching property and committing targeted summary executions, targeted the FDLR, a Rwandan Hutu rebel group operating in the eastern DRC. Between April and October, M23 was responsible for 45% of recorded executions and widespread forced recruitment. And that's all at this hour. Breakfast Central continues in a moment. I am Olive Emodi. Please stay with us.
When a nation begins to treat court judgments as optional suggestions, it's not just disobeying the law, it is dismantling its own democracy, brick by brick. Across the country, we've seen a worrying trend. Government institutions refusing to implement valid court rulings, especially those meant to protect citizens and enforce accountability. This isn't a legal technicality, it is a direct assault on the rule of law, the very foundation that separates democracy from dictatorship. When the state ignores judgments, it sends a dangerous message. Power, not justice, decides outcomes. And once that precedent is set, what stops citizens from ignoring the law too? What stops security agencies from doing the same? What keeps the system from sliding into chaos? History teaches us that no democracy survives when court orders become negotiable. Nigeria has been here before, from disobedience of court rulings during military regimes to more recent cases where judgments against government agencies simply disappear into administrative limbo. Each ignored ruling chips away at public trust, fuels impunity, and normalizes lawlessness at the highest levels. SERAP's latest alarm is not just one case, it's about a systematic decay. Court judgments that favor political elites are executed overnight, but judgments that protect citizens, expose corruption, or compel transparency, those suddenly require review, further consultations, or simply vanish into silence. The judiciary cannot enforce its own orders without the executive, and when the executive plays deaf, the courts are reduced to issuing beautifully written documents that carry no weight. That is how democracies fail, and not with a loud explosion, but with quiet, consistent disregard for the law. But there's hope. Civil society groups, volunteer lawyers, and public interest litigators are refusing to look away. They are mobilizing, documenting violations, and going back to court again and again. That persistence is the only reason the system hasn't collapsed entirely. Still, civic action alone is not enough. Government must understand this truth. Obedience to court orders is not optional, not political, not conditional. It's constitutional. A government that picks and chooses which judgments to obey is already standing outside the law. If Nigeria wants stability, if we want investment, if we want trust in our institutions, then we must restore the authority over our courts. Full stop. Good morning, Nigerians.
I'm sure you begin to search your conscience after listening to Which Way Nigeria. But let's go straight into the front pages of the newspapers right now. We have international journalist of repute, Mr. Habib Aruna, joining us live in the studio. Bonjour, welcome. I think bonjour, bienvenue is it's a language you start speaking now because of.
I'm not impressed with any bonjour. What happened yesterday?
Okay.
Benin Republic.
We'll get to it.
Even though it was quashed.
Yes. You're not impressed.
With Nigeria's assistance, I'm not.
Great to, you're not impressed.
It was a misadventure. That is not the road.
By Nigeria.
That is no road to tread.
But it was
now.
a request.
No, I mean, what I'm saying is that the Beninois did the wrong thing by trying to topple their president. Okay. That is wrong.
All right.
We're happy to have you,
Let's
Mr.
start that right away since he's mentioned that. We'll start on that note. Vanguard is the first newspaper, but prior to that, you can be part of the conversation. Big ups, like they'd say in the hip language, to all those who called throughout last week and joined the conversation. We're looking forward to hear your voices again this morning. Vanguard newspaper starts off the conversation. Democracy survives. Hooray! How Benin Republic coup failed, according to federal government. There's a blow-by-blow account, courtesy of the SSA to the president, Mr. Bayo Onanuga, breaking it down in terms and pieces, most importantly on X. Benin Interior Foreign Minister speak. 12 soldiers arrested. Nigerian Air Force conducts multiple precision airstrikes on fleeing coup plotters. Federal government, ECOWAS, AU condemn attempted takeover. ECOWAS deploys troops to Benin Republic. And you heard that. Well, let's start off with that story. Without further ado, let's not waste any more time. You already started analyzing and sharing your thoughts on it. But what's your take on how precise, quick, swift, fast, the way in which the Nigerian government deployed its arsenals to ensure that the cop stop, arrest,
and carry out multiple precision strikes?
Exactly.
I think I must first of all appreciate the synopsis what this man just read.
All right.
It's a full stop. To have added period. That was very succinct. That was very appropriate. And that's very instructive.
Coming from a veteran journalist, I appreciate.
Thank you.
You see, even during the military court judgments were obeyed. Interestingly, during the military, they obey court judgment. But for our politicians trying to find a way to circumvent court judgment. So what you just read is the key cornerstone of any democratic, of any constitutional democracy. So they should not just pay lip service to it. All of us should be involved in making sure that court judgments are not conditional, as I said, and not optional. Full stop. Then you see on your question, coming few days or few weeks after the Guinea-Bissau military takeover, it became a thing of worry. And people are not learning any lesson in Africa, particularly West African sub-region. You know, it's becoming a normal thing, a fashion for some group of mutineers. Wake up one day, pick their gun and enter the studio. So they have taken over the government. Because democracy is fragile. The institutions of democracy in those countries are very weak. So thank God that Nigeria was able to play that big brother little role by quickly intervening and stopping those small boys from taking us for a ride once again.
But we didn't get permission from the Nigerian Senate before we deployed troops to intervene in another country, or there was no time.
No.
It was a doctrine of necessity.
If you look at the statement from the presidency, Mr. Brown and Lucas and S, the statement for the presidency clearly stated explicitly that they requested for it.
Yes, but still, don't we need permission from Senate?
No. That kind of thing, don't need permission. No, we are not going for a war.
Okay,
you only require the Senate approval. Okay. No, the Senate and for approval to go to wage a war against another country. Yes, absolutely. Not to prevent a crisis from taking place, which may eventually affect Nigeria. They have succeeded. Affect Nigeria. You know, and the important thing is that if you read today's stories too, there are stories that the VP will represent Nigeria, represent the president in Cote d'Ivoire.
Yeah, the inauguration of Ouattara.
Alassane Ouattara.
Who has changed constitutional term limits
to change the rules in the middle of the game. It's unfortunate of what we are seeing. Look at what is happening in Tanzania. That lady became president because the other president, our boss, died.
John Magufuli.
And she started changing the rules.
She started off good.
Yes, so but during the election now, it's changed the rules. What they do is that they will ban opposition leaders from contesting. The National Assembly, the Parliament, will change the rules to prolong their stay in power. Then they won't give them third term or fourth term. So the problem is that this kind of thing, the military, sorry, my brother, the military now look at the mood in the country.
Yeah.
I want to, exploit it. There are
others
but it's an aberration
that also argue that charity begins at home. I know 100 kids were released yesterday and were celebrated, but there's still a high number of children that are still in the kidnappers' den in the bush. That why haven't we deployed all this air support and military might to release those kids? That charity begins at home. Why are we so quick to intervene in another country?
I think the newly appointed Minister of Defense is in a better position.
Not Abi Baruda.
Who is a journalist. But my personal opinion is that we are not showing enough capacity. That we are acting from a position of weakness in the institution of security. They were released. How were they released? Number negotiation. And we have said it many times. We don't negotiate with these people. These people are animals. Kill them, assassinate them, send a message that you are decisive. They did not announce that they were released.
Strength.
How are they released? We don't know. So it's part of the problem we are having. And as you said, why should they, the first instance, be abducted? So they brought bus overnight to take the children away. Come on.
Okay, let's take another newspaper and take another story this morning. The Punch newspaper, there's a big story there. The Punch newspaper, Tinubu Macron holds talk as US fact finders arrive, right? But that's not the story I wanted to take. I wanted us to talk about PDP, because I saw that PDP appeared on both of the Punch as well as on Vanguard. On Vanguard, you will see, trying to look for how it was written. It says, Wike's camp moves to reorganize state chapters, conducts fresh Congress's convention. That's how it was written on the Vanguard. While on the Punch, PDP crisis, Wike bloc plans state Congress's national convention. Then, still looking at the PDP in a way, defection rumors rise as Fubara faces mounting assembly fire on page 8 of the Punch.
What?
Defection rumors rise as Fubara faces mounting assembly fire. So, The same people who said that they did not defect before, no, first of all, defected, denied defection. So there is a possibility of a re-defection.
Absolutely.
Again. What's going on
both
with
in
the
Taraba and River State?
Exactly, with the PDP first as a whole, and then narrow it down to River State PDP.
No, I've said it before here. And it's very unfortunate that Wike is becoming the sore point of the democratic the process of the dispensation. You know, they are using this man, and we all know it. Wike is no longer in PDP. His two legs are out of PDP. You know, but we want to make sure that the party is decimated.
Well, he said the death.
To put the challenge.
Just this over the weekend, he said the death of PDP would not be good for the party.
He's deceiving himself. We all know that.
Like the fact that
friend, this man has been expelled by the party. Let him go to court.
Maybe he has not received the certificate
That
of
is not the point
expulsion
here,
yet.
my friend. He was expelled, and they even sent him a letter.
They even put it on
certificate.
social
A certificate of expulsion. What are we talking about? And the media should be careful in the way we blow up these things. You know, I know they are spending money to make sure these things are published. You know, but we need to be careful. No, the media is a major stakeholder.
In what sense? How do you mean the media?
What I'm saying is that things that we know are not real, are not credible. You should not overblow it. I know what I'm talking about.
So what are we
Yeah, we can do our job. We can even investigate. What is Wike up to? What's the playing at? What is Wike's ultimate objective to this other party? Wike has not been happy since he lost the VPship to Okowa. Since then, he has been saying that he will destroy the party, and that's what he's doing. And there are many enablers, both in and out of the party, to make him succeed. So this man was expelled. That will be the story. And I'm saying I have passionate party. Well, these are ugly passionate people, sponsored by Wike.
What do you make of the defection of the lawmakers in River State? And similarly, Fubara's silence. He hasn't said anything since.
No.
Or maybe
are you expecting? You see, the news would have been lawmakers refuse to come to PC. The news cannot be PDP lawmakers in River State defected to APC. That is a normal thing. That is given. That is expected. So one media is blaming it up. If dog bite a man, that is downplay it. But when a man bites a dog, they're from the story. So you know that people are interested in blowing up these things, you know, to create disquiet, you know, in the system. So it's expected. These are wicked boys, the people with no conscience. People that go to Abuja to collect money.
The new chairman
said he was not informed.
It's a shame.
The new chairman of the People's Democratic Party that emerged after the Ibadan Convention, senior advocate of Nigeria, Turaki, did call on Mr. Donald Trump to intervene. He said there's also political genocide.
No, what is going on?
President Trump, because we've seen that when Trump mentions if he should cough, everybody starts to run cat. Should he now start intervening in internal politics in Nigeria? Can't we put our acts together as a people?
The intolerance of Trump is not the beginning of wisdom. Because even the rapacious and capricious and parasitic Akwa Ibom said Trump is looking at us, he's watching us.
Says on our neck.
For the first time, Akwa Ibom acted as a leader.
Let's pause. We have a call
so you cannot.
From Zaria coming in. Good morning. Thank you very much for calling. Please go ahead with your comment. And please turn down the volume of your TV set or whatever device you're streaming from.
Wow, Zaria, it's from Zaria.
And to everyone calling us after you. Please go ahead.
Hello?
Turn down the volume of your TV set. It's interfering. Okay, we might have lost that call.
Okay.
Please,
so, back to what he was saying.
Fubara is in a very difficult position.
Fubara
is on his own. And you cannot also sympathize with Fubara. Because Fubara came in through the same process, same flawed and inauspicious process, you know, engineered by Wike. So allow him to face the consequence. The heat is on. So you should bear the heat in the kitchen. But you know what? If you cannot bear the heat, you find his way out.
He's between a rock and a very hard place.
Absolutely, he's in a big mess.
Oh, I mean, he has applauded President Bola Tinubu for the role
he had no choice. He had no choice. You see, unfortunately, Trump messages to Nigeria, his interventions are not like, it's not only on security. If you scrap his office, it's not telling you put your house in order. Democracy is falling in your country. You are decimating opposition, making your country one party state. You will not allow that. Right. He's telling them implicitly. So it's part of it.
Let's hear from Uche. Uche is calling from Abia. Good morning, Uche. Thank you for calling. Please go ahead.
Everybody. Hello, good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Uche. We can hear you. Go ahead and make your contribution.
I listened to my brother Habib, telling Nigerians that Mr. President did well by sending troops to Benin Republic. You see, they said charity begins at home. He said what happened in Benin might even affect Nigeria. And I begin to think, the insurgency, the terrorism that has been happening to us, the effrontery Mr. President sent troops. Why can't we send troops to Sambisa? What has been happening to us? Many families are in trouble. Nigerians are crying. Even our children are still in the bush. But we left them, we sent troops to another country. This is a country that when we talk, some people say, oh, Nigeria is a sovereign country. How can America invade Nigeria? Whereas Nigeria has invaded another sovereign country with what has been happening to us. Please, can we, think about it and know whether Mr. President did well? Not to have rescued our people in the bush than going to another country. That is my submission. God bless you people.
Okay.
No, I think I should respond to what you said.
All right.
So people are told, well informed, which is the meaning of this program. The first leg of Uche's comment, Uche was right. That you are sending troops to go and quash immediate coup. When in your country you cannot save your citizens. That is partially right. But the second leg is that these children are abducted. The government is doing something to make sure they are brought back to their parents. Just yesterday, 100 of them are rescued. So more is being done. The government is not sleeping.
Okay.
So we should be very careful in looking at this thing.
All right, we'll come back to still review the papers this morning, but let's connect with our correspondent Mana Balagubu, who's in Kogi State, to give us updates on the planned naked protest by federal pensioners. It was supposed to happen this morning. Good morning, Mana. Did the protest happen? What has happened so far?
And why did they decide to protest? What's their grounds?
Yeah, good morning, Oli. Good morning, Becca. Good morning, Joe. Live at the NTA roundabout here in Lokoja. Well, they are not going to be joining their colleagues all across the country today to protest. I spoke with the state chairman, and he said that because of the curfew that was announced by the state government. But what he told me was 4 p.m. He said 4 a.m. to 6 p.m. But I had to correct him because I was actually at the pronouncement event where the governor said the curfew is actually from 4 p.m. to 6 a.m. in the morning. So when we spoke further, I think they're just concerned that the protest, the administration might be hijacked, and they're just concerned, and they don't want, because of the security situation in the state, they don't want to be part of this particular protest. But when I reached out to the national secretary, who gave me the contact of the state chairman, he said that they will be having a demonstration today. So as you can see, it's all clear. People are moving out. We're not seeing anybody protesting. And of course, they said that we're going to do this naked. So that would be very bizarre, as this particular area is not so far from the government house and the government office. So it would be very, very weird to have them do that today, but that is not the case. Back to you, Oli.
What's the symbolism attached to a naked protest? Why do they want to go unclad?
Well, I think that, when you see people complaining or trying to get attention, it's more of like a desperate move. You want people to to get to know your cries. And it's more of they are not ashamed. Some of these persons are struggling, pensioners are struggling to feed their family. Some of them still have children in school. And they've tried all the diplomatic measures. It seems not to be working. So definitely, if this, goes on across other parts of the country, as we will reach out to some of my colleagues in other states, most especially like Abuja and Lagos, this will definitely be the biggest news today in Nigeria, but it's not the case here in Kogi State.
The updates. We'll try and see if we can connect with the others as well to know if the naked protest will be holding today. Thanks for sharing insights.
I'm actually particularly glad that it's not holding, because I feel like it shows the level of desperation for our senior citizens to get to the point where they decide that they have to go public and go naked. It's a desperation that reflects a lack of care that our nation doesn't give to senior
Absolutely.
Thank you for that. Thank you for your comment. It's not only every sector, the military, radio. Today, FRCM pensioners are also protesting.
Yeah.
It just shows that we are not serious as a people. No nation treats its seniors in that way. The people work their heart out for this country. What they deserve after retiring is to be taken care of. It's an entitlement. Why are they begging for it? Look at this recent years. Look at retired workers of Nigeria Airways. We're doing the same thing.
Yeah, but it's symptomatic of
Soldiers,
it didn't start with this
soldiers went to
government.
Abuja. They were outside.
Policemen too.
Policemen before they were paid. So what are we talking about? It just shows one thing, one word: corruption.
Big one.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the front pages very quickly. Let's go back to the Punch. I'd like us to go back to the Punch. Anambra prison inmate wins International Whistleblower Award. As a journalist, this story should interest us. This was one who was a whistleblower, and despite helping the government in, ensuring that they follow up with the story and so on, he found himself in prison. He was eventually caught. Time would fail me if I try to read through that entire story, but that's a big story that I would have loved for us to look into.
There's another one there on the front page.
Yes.
Former President Obasanjo, who happens to be the most vocal of all our leaving ex-presidents, is in the news again. It says Boko Haram fight lasting longer than civil war, and it's troubling.
Exactly.
And it's really, really troubling. And the question is, are we very serious about tackling insecurity? Because reports reaching us this morning says that the current Minister of State for Defense, Bello Matawalle, who has shown he's made statements that seem to be sympathetic to bandits, is currently observing his lesser Hajj in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia as we speak. There are hundreds of children in the bush that have been kidnapped by terrorists. So what does that tell you as a nation? And as Commander-in-Chief, the president who appointed him, is this not dereliction of duty of some sort? Or has he gone there?
Because even the president is around.
Yes, because the president is around. Or has he gone there to apply non-kinetic means, spiritual means to deal with insecurity through prayers?
The minister would have traveled without the president approval. The minister cannot leave Nigeria without the president approval. And when the president appointed Musa last week, that is best decision in 2 years. In 2 years. Nigerians, everybody, we're all happy. When the man was coming to the Zoom office, to our Zoom office, rather, and look at the crowd, look at the mood. People are even singing and praying for him. That was a reflection of the mood of the nation. And they were saying by extension that the president should have also removed Matawalle to deploy him to another department, not to be under Musa. Matawalle does not have any good record. It's not there. He does not have any good record. He is known to be negotiating with bandits. He rule a country that bandits are taking control of.
The state, yeah.
The state, rather. Sorry. So I don't know what he's doing there. So for him to have left Nigeria for lesser Hajj, he was not around to welcome the new defense minister last week. So there are many questions to be answered. But I don't think
he should have
left Nigeria for lesser Hajj or anywhere Because you guys they keep on deceiving themselves. Can you fool God? You cannot deceive God. You need concrete action to solve this problem, not going to any prayer place to print to do what. My first sit down and act, and the president once again should be decisive. That man should be removed from office or deployed.
Okay.
Right.
I'm hoping we can, let's take one last paper. We're fast coming to the end of the show. We'll take some comments on YouTube, so please, now's the time to drop comments if you have any. And after this newspaper, we'll take comments. New Telegraph newspaper, on the front page of New Telegraph, the big story: police vigilance group arrests suspected bandits at Edo Hotel. Wow. Federal government secures release of 100 Niger students. Nigeria Church laughs last, says Adeboye, as Benue Archbishop. Okay, no, it's very difficult to read the font here. Labour Party reps to Tinubu and APC prioritize welfare, not 2027 politics. Air pollution exposure.
The Labour Party reps that have not defected. The few.
The few that have not defected.
Yes.
Wow.
That Labour Party story is important.
Okay, we'll come back to that. Air pollution exposure linked to clogged arteries. Nigeria condemns coup attempt in Benin Republic. Kano, Ganduje's Hizbah begins recruitment of 12,000 guards. We'll come back to talk about that as well. And Shettima lives for Abidjan to represent Tinubu at Ouattara's inauguration. So let's start with, we wanted to speak about Labour Party, and then I want us to talk about
what they should be doing as opposition party. That is what they should be doing. And the role of the media in this instance is to project that story on the front page of the newspaper. This is what they should be doing. Not prioritizing politics of 2027, neglecting Nigerians' citizens' welfare and security. It's a reminder that this is what you should be doing. And I think that is what...
Did you see the buses?
Renewed Hope ambassadors.
Renewed Hope ambassador buses.
Brand new highest buses and Prado Jeeps in Eagle Square last week.
More than 25. I don't know if
more than 50 combined.
Prado Jeeps.
They've turned serious governance to comedy.
And they were passed at the Eagle Square.
And it's unfortunate.
Eagle Square.
I was thinking
and they're not CNG.
I was thinking that Tinubu.
So they don't even, they are not made in Nigeria. So they don't even believe in the government's policy.
And they're not made in Nigerian vehicles.
In Nigeria's trajectory. I was thinking that Tinubu will be more prepared in putting his name in these books than engaging in this. What we are seeing.
But to be fair to him, can he monitor every single thing that is happening?
He's the leader, my brother. The leader.
And according to the presidency, the Renewed Hope ambassadors is not from the government.
To be well scrutinized because we are the ones signing it. Elementary lessons taught us that before you sign anything, look at it very well. So there's even a mention of a man that is dead. The list of the ambassadors. So what are we talking about?
But that's similar to what the former president did, late President Muhammadu Buhari. He appointed two dead persons in 2020 and also in 2017.
That's because they've done copy and paste. They didn't look at it.
And then again, there's a vetting committee.
Absolutely.
I'm sure that they are not doing anything.
Mr. Aruna, please, let's look at this. You have been in government before, and I really need your answer.
Yes.
Because this morning, when I saw that story from over the weekend, I couldn't help but wonder, are we doing a paddy business? In Muhammadu Buhari's time, the late Muhammadu Buhari, twice, 2017, 2020, people who had died, their names came out in the list. Now you have one person whose name has come out on the list of ambassadors, the nominees. Yet they say in the presidency there's a vetting committee. There was also a vetting committee, that same vetting committee, but this time they also had other people who had joined to look at the list, initial list, the pardon list as well. Let's even leave the pardon list. Nobody has talked about it since then. So we don't know if the presidency has passed that pardon list, if they've passed it or so on. But this vetting committee, they vetted this list. They still allowed the name of the late person to go on.
How does that work? When I was chief secretary to Governor Bode, I was very close to him. So I took my time, and I was also interested in making sure that we don't commit this kind of blunders. Anything we discuss.
Anything that will cause an embarrassment onto the government.
A note in my pocket. He forgot, maybe we were at an event and he could not remember. I've signaled him and I have it here. When he was sworn in the commissioners, I'll give you an instance, and it's on record. In 2015, he was sworn in the commissioners. A night before, we were with him, going through the speech he will read, the list and everything, and the portfolios assigned to each of the commissioners. At the swearing ceremony, please quote me very well. At the swearing ceremony, Oga forgot to bring along the paper. He wrote the portfolio assigned to the commissioners. Really, he does something. Abib, you have a copy? I said, yes, sir. I swear to my God. You have a copy at Arenibero in Alausa here. I just brought the copy in my pocket and I read it over to him. That saved us the embarrassment. He now read it out. These are the portfolios of these new commissioners. It will be in my memoir. So you need to.
You were diligent enough to carry a copy.
And this is Lagos. Not Sokoto. After Abuja is Lagos. I saw a man that is serious. I saw a man that is pragmatic. I saw a man that is very, very intelligent and a first class administrator by excellence. This is not rocket science. Even if Baba is the president, there's a chief of staff, the principal secretary. There are other officials there. So there are many gateways that the thing will pass through and they will clean it up. But ostensibly, these guys have been sleeping. Embarrassing the president. We have to deliver everything now.
Okay.
It's very unfortunate.
We've come to the end of the show, but because I promised to go on YouTube, I want to take final comments from YouTube. Parasamako, thank you so much. Parasamako says, good morning, News Central. Oh, thank you for the warm welcome back. He now says, wait, just asking for a friend. Is Benin not a sovereign country? He said, just asking for a friend.
Because we went in all guns blazing, all jets blazing.
Yes, so and then he goes ahead to say, we keep chasing frogs and toads while our house is on fire. Imagine sending your ward or child to school while you are thinking about the security and safety of other children. It is well low. Luke Crone says, good morning, News Central crew. You guys are the fresh air in the media stream that Nigeria urgently
I'm so emotional.
He says, welcome back, Lady Olive. You were missed. Now the crew is complete. Now I can sip my coffee. Thank you so much.
Lady Olive, I like that. Very regal.
Very regal. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, everyone, for the kind comments. To our virtual audience, our virtual viewers, our guests to join us virtually as well as in studio. Thank you so much for
Thank you, sir.
being the icing on the cake that is breakfast.
Those guys who gave the cars.
Renewed Hope ambassadors.
Who are the people they said they gave the cars?
Renewed Hope ambassadors.
No, the people who bought the cars. They said there's a team that not the president.
Yes.
People that bought the
Renewed Hope ambassadors.
Okay, ambassadors.
Yes.
Okay, I thought you were a committee of friends.
Renewed Hope ambassadors.
Okay, all right.
Thank you so much for being a part of today's broadcast. We'll see you tomorrow. And Merry Christmas in advance, Mr. Avi Barona.
Merry Christmas.
Absolutely.
We'll be there to
we have 2 more weeks before.